There are anime that entertain, and then there are anime that touch your soul. Free Ren Beyond Journey's End, it's not just about like fighting demons and everything. It's an anime that honestly it touches you in the soul. You feel it. You finish watching it and then you're left thinking. You know, it's about what happens after the story ends. It's slow, it's thoughtful, and it's heartbreakingly beautiful. Honestly. So today I just wanted to talk about it. I want to talk about an anime that really touched me. I've been watching anime for a long time now, and it's not often that an anime can really speak to you in this way. So, without wasting any more time, let's talk about Free Ren Beyond Journey's End. Free Ren, when the story starts, it begins where, most fantasy stories end. The Demon King has been defeated. The heroes, the mage Frieren, the warrior Aizen, the priest Haita, and the hero Himmel return after a 10-year journey. But Frieren's an elf, who lives for thousands of years, so it barely seems like anything. It's barely affected. Her time with them, to her, was like in the blink of an eye in a very long, long life. 50 years then pass, and they're like days to her. And then Himmel is, we see him in his older age while he takes his last journey with her before he dies. That moment, it shatters her, and it's brutal to us because we see it from her eyes, how she is so pained that she didn't spend enough time with him, even though human lives compared to elf lives is so short. But she wish she had spent more time with him, It shatters her, it's not flashy, it's not loud, but it hits because we all understand it. We all understand the passage of time, even though we're not elves. We all wish we could have spent some more time with somebody, those that we have lost, those that we don't talk to anymore, those that we don't see. Maybe they traveled to other continents, other countries, those that are too busy for, because of work or something, it hits home, She never truly got to know them. And it hurts her so much because she will still be on that earth for more thousands of years while all of them will die and she will never see them again, so it's painful. So then she sets out on a new journey, not just to defeat evil, because the evil is reappearing after the heroes had defeated them all those decades ago. That's also one of the reasons, but it's to now finally understand humans, to understand them, to understand feelings, to understand herself. She is more than just a long-lived elf. She is a person, and she wants to understand feelings and connections. That's the genius of Free Ren. It flips the fantasy genre completely on its head. Instead of epic battles, we get memories, regrets, flashbacks. Flashback come, but it's not flashback like it's something that is, dragging the story out or feels boring. No, it's impactful. It's beautiful. We get quiet moments that echo louder than any war cries. It's a story about time, loss, and memory, and how we hold those things also dear to our hearts. It's about the quiet magic of connection. The characters are, for any good story, the characters have to be beautiful. And Free Ren is no exception. The characters are absolutely exceptional. They carry the whole show. They carry the whole emotion of the show. Let's talk about the person that the show is named after, Free Ren. She beats, because I think something a lot of media nowadays don't really get right with elves is like, you can't really blame some people. How do you write a character that can live for thousands of years? How would that character realistically act? We don't know. We don't live that long. We're humans. But I think this one, it reminds me so much of, Tolkien's elves from Lord of the Rings. They can be vain, they can be petty, but they are wise. They can be, it's not even intentional when they say some things that might sound heartless, but it's just to them, it's like, why bother? You understand? I mean, they can get back to that problem in like 100 years if they want to. They don't have time for it right now. They are, unbothered. Sometimes you can see when Frieren, when she's like at a town with Stark and Fern, she's like, hey, how about okay, they say we gotta wait 5 years. Actually, I'll just go around looking for grimoires, but they are humans, 5 years added to their age, they're in their 20s already, time is of the essence. Let's keep it moving, so it's a very good way that they depicted elves in the show. Sometimes she can be cold, distant, but not in an edgy way, in a lonely way. She can be lonely. Her 1,000-year plus lifespan, it makes her very detached from human emotions. But slowly you see her growth throughout the whole story, through memories and the new bonds that she forges with the new people she meets. We see her change. We see her now value what she says. She doesn't just say some things, even though to her or to another elf or even to a dwarf, it wouldn't seem like anything, but she understands that humans are very emotional creatures. So you have to be careful how you talk sometimes, you have to watch what you say, watch how you treat them. She learns to value time, miss people. Watching her grow is one of the most important and most powerful emotional arcs in all of modern anime, if you ask me, to be honest. Then we have Fern. She's a quiet girl. She's young, but she's very mature for her age. She's kind of the mother of the whole show. She mothers everyone. She reminds me of Katara, honestly, from Avatar. Sometimes it can be stressful, I'll be watching her and be like, oh, it can be insufferable, but you get it. She means well, but you can also see her. She's still young. She's still, she's still learning how to control her emotions. I like how they write her sometimes, she understands that she's being annoying. She doesn't know why she's acting that way. You can see her growth. She apologizes as others apologize to her too. She's grounded, she's practical, and she's emotionally aware, but she also struggles with the loss of Haita, because Haita is kind of like her adoptive father, so you see her struggle with that in the beginning, but she forges new bonds and then learns to trust new people, her bond with, and seeing her kind of, love with oh come on, I can't wait for two of them to finally start dating. Seeing her love with Stark blossom slowly, it's beautiful. It's not done in some anime trope. It's still an anime trope. Sometimes he's dumb as bricks, but he's 18, she's I think 16. They're both very young, so they're still learning, and he is from a clan of only warriors, you understand, so you can understand why he's it's kind of emotionally dense, and she grew up with only Haita, so she doesn't know how to interact with boys too, boys her age, so it's a beautiful way to write her, and she's a very emotional character. She's the mother of the group, and she really pulls the emotion and pulls everybody together. Then we have Stark. He's the comic relief, but he has a big heart. I love when they go on their little adventures, maybe when Fern and Frieren need to go somewhere separately, maybe something that involves magic. He's a warrior, so there's nothing he's doing there, but then when they come back, he has kind of become like the kind of like whichever town they're in, he has become like the hero of the town. It's so heartwarming. He's good with kids, he's good with old people, he's good with anybody, to be honest. He's a good person, and his own problem is that he lacks self-confidence. But this is where it's done so well. Unlike Zenitsu from Demon Slayer, his own is not like irritating. He's not irritating. He's not annoying, really. He can be calm and collected. He's very self-aware. He's not crying every time, he's self-aware. He understands that he's afraid, but he pushes through it, in order to overcome. His relationship with Fern is so subtle, and it grows so naturally, so slowly. They argue, they blush, they protect each other, they whine, but they love each other, and you can see it. It's like watching two people slowly learn how to care for each other again. It's beautiful, Then when they go to flashbacks, it's so crazy how they can use flashbacks to like build character development for even older characters and characters that you didn't even see them when they were younger. We see Himmel and the original party in a lot of flashbacks. You know, Himmel, he is the most, quietly powerful character in the whole anime. You understand? It's not really shown yet, of course, in this first season a lot, but like I imagine that scene where he stabs the dragon. That thing was one strike. Boom. The land dragon was dead. You understand? He's very powerful, but it's not really sure. I mean, for him to follow and beat the demon lord, it shows you that he's very powerful. He was the shining hero, not just because he was strong. After all, he was said that he's a fake hero. He couldn't pull the sword out of the stone, but it's to show you that it's not just prophecies that deem who the hero is. You make yourself a hero by doing heroic things. He cared for people. A lot of flashbacks is not even fighting. They are like doing manual labor for people, helping people. You understand? Every time Frieren remembers him, you remember him. And that's what makes the show so special. You see Aizen, you see Haita, you see what really brought them together. You see how they care for each other and how they overcome adversity, and that's what makes the show so special. That's what makes you feel the passage of time. And a lot of characters, they don't, like that priest that they're with, and the other characters they meet at the Magic Association exams. You understand? You think, oh, is this person going to join the party? No, they say their goodbyes, it shows you, even in the real world, there are people we meet and we don't stay together forever. You just meet them for a time and you stay with them, do what you have to do with them together, and then you part ways. You understand? You may see them later in life, you may not, and that's how life is. Not everybody you see forever, and I think that's a beautiful message it says. Frieren has a lot of themes that it teaches. It doesn't shout it, it whispers it to you, it tells you quietly, with subtlety. It's about the cruelty of time, how fast it moves for some, and how slow it moves for others. It's about grief, loss, and pain. Not like loud and shouting, it's quiet. Everything in this show is done so subtly and quietly. It's about how we deal with pain and loss. It's about realizing, sometimes too late, that the people around you mattered more than you ever knew. And most of all, it's about learning to feel and accepting that you feel these things. The show, it explores a lot of things. It shows how memories can be powerful tools. That's why we pass on legacies and memories to pass on to the next generation, and we tell these stories to our younger ones who tell it to their younger ones, and so on and so forth. How powerful stories can be. You see the new heroes team when they meet people that Frieren met 80 years ago, and they helped, how they even make it into festivities for when the hero killed these demons in their town or these monsters, how that they passed it on to their children and their grandchildren. This is how powerful stories can be. I think it's a very powerful lesson that we all need to learn. Words matter, and they hold more weight than sometimes we know. I've watched a lot of anime, for real, and I love all the hype stuff. I love a good hype story. Hey, some nice battle shonen. I love it. I talk about it on this channel if you're a long-time viewer. But I also love stories like this too. Frieren is different. It sits you down and it makes you think. It makes you wonder. It makes you think about your own life and the people around you, the people you love and the people you care for. I didn't expect this anime to be this good. Now I'm even more pissed at Solo Leveling won anime of the year. But it's cool. It's a beautiful anime. It's a beautiful show. And I think in a world where there's so much of these different types of animes, I think we should have more of these too. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.